Good evening. It is Wednesday, December the 18th, a little after 10 o'clock p.m. This is meteorologist Shay Gibson with Wind Alert and Kite Surf, bringing you a wind forecast for the Santa Kite Jam 2019 Tampa Bay on Saturday and Sunday. So we got lots to talk about. This is going to be kind of a tricky one this weekend. And what I'm going to say to this is hats off, first of all, to Melanie Cornish for taking on the reins this year, right? So let's give her a lot of credit here for helping to put this together, and along with others as well. As part of it as a team, you guys all do a great job down there every year. But you know, we all know where Robert is. We don't even know where Robert is. I mean, look at him. He's somewhere out in the middle of. I mean, I don't even know where this is. I think he's just on a sabbatical. Maybe he's on an ayahuasca journey. He's probably, tangled up in some vines and some tropical rainforest on his ayahuasca trip. Whatever. Terra to ho, wherever you are, Robert. Taking a sabbatical during a kite jam, you should be ashamed of yourself, man. I mean, look at you. I don't even know what this is. I mean, what is that? Picture of a cat, a picture of a mask. I mean, dude, you're kind of losing it on us, but we'll try to stay on base here, Robert, for you. We'll be pulling for you. El Presidente there, guys. Give him a round of applause. All right, let's get on track. So here's what we got going on. A couple of different things going on for this weekend. And usually we look for, this time of the year, we look for cold fronts that come through and high pressure to build behind it for those northeast, east-northeast winds, or maybe a little bit of a southerly wind ahead of a front or low pressure. And what we have is something's kind of coming together across the northeast Gulf of Mexico, and this may have some potential to become subtropical in nature, maybe a cool core low, but the GFS is saying one thing, the Euro is saying another as far as placement. What we do know is that low pressure is going to be impacting or influencing the weather pattern for the Tampa Bay area for Saturday and Sunday. In fact, the Weather Service in Tampa is basically saying this right here, and they're going by this map with low pressure in this area, in this vicinity, regardless, in which case would bring a warm front with lots of rain. So we're talking several inches of rain, 3 to 4 for northern Tampa, 2 to 3 across middle Tampa, and then of course a little bit less down into Fort Myers and below. High winds are expected, 3 to 7 day hazards outlook. Heavy rains, 12:21 and 12:22, so that's Saturday and Sunday. High winds for both days. The thing we have to look for here is, even with a SCA advisory or the small craft advisory, is that these winds may be up and down during the convergence period of it. And if we talk about convergence, this is where things start to really kind of get interesting. As we get into Saturday morning, we see an area of low pressure coming together here in the northeast Gulf of Mexico. This is all sort of what the GFS is projecting right now. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. And so we look at this and we think of counterclockwise motion around low pressure in the northern hemisphere specifically. What happens ahead of it is this is a strengthening low, and we get convergence coming from the east-southeast into this low. And so this is what's going to projected to pick the winds up from the east-southeast on Saturday. And there's a lot of model agreement with this because of this low pressure that's going to be heading to the east-northeast across Florida. Once it usually gets over here, it sort of hops over land and sort of just transfers into the Atlantic, and then this will peel off to the east in time. We'll see that in the run when we go forward. What I'm concerned about, though, is trying to find a window Saturday afternoon where it's going to be on the dry side during this convergence, because there isn't a lot of moisture coming from this area. Most of the moisture is coming from the south. And so if we get that convergence from the east, more of an easterly element, we'd be better off. If it's more southerly, that's when the more moisture is going to be pumped up into the system. And so we go forward, we see how much rain is going to be spreading into the northern Tampa Bay area as we get into Saturday evening and night. Things get really kind of messy. And then this low transfers over to the Atlantic. We see it hop over here by Sunday morning. And then by that time, we see this other low developing here along the northeast Gulf of Mexico. And this is one that's going to be traveling off in this direction as well with a wraparound flow, and we'll see these winds coming up from the northwest across Florida behind that. That may be another opportunity Sunday afternoon, because it's drier air with high pressure capped to the north feeding drier air down in behind this low. Even this convergence pack here pulls in and around the low pressure center as well. So with high pressure in the north keeps the low suppressed to the south. Unfortunately, that's going to mean a lot of rainfall for your area. So if we look at the GFS and we go forward in time, here's Saturday morning, and here's that easterly convergence I was talking to you about. If we look closely at these lines, you see the direction. These little arrows are pointing in this direction. You just got to watch for the stronger colors to sort of come in, and you kind of get a better idea what's going to happen. So we see those winds tilting as we get into Saturday afternoon, tilting to or from the southeast. We always talk about winds coming from the direction. And so we see that happening. So we got, anywhere from 15 to 19 knots is what the GFS is sort of suggesting here, and this is all part of the convergence of the low and this wind really peeling into it. The more you get coming across land, the less moisture is going to be involved. Like I said earlier, if it's coming up from the south, you're going to get a nice slug of moisture. All of this sort of heading off in this direction. We'll watch and see where it goes in time, and we'll see that other low start to appear. Now we see this sort of elongate and just sort of spread over into the Atlantic. It transfers over into the Atlantic. So you have this giant crease. It's more like a trough, an area of troughing, and association across a warm front. So there's sort of division there in temperature gradient, and so that's why there's such a steep wind gradient. But we're also, I'm looking at this little low up here in the corner. This is what's going to determine for Sunday's wraparound flow into the coast as this heads off in this direction, and we see that gradient increase. Looks like we could see that gradient stick around for a little while. So here's Sunday afternoon, mid to late afternoon, we get that gradient really kind of pumping up into near 20 to maybe 24 knots, and really kind of steepen the gradient across that area. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for drier air to sort of funnel down and around into Sunday afternoon. So we're looking for Saturday afternoon and possibly Sunday from like mid to late afternoon as being potential possibilities according to the GFS. Here's the Euro. Let me back this up a little bit. Euro has a little bit of a different solution. So we're looking at Saturday morning here. This one does show an easterly gradient, but weaker. And this is from the 12 o'clock run today. So the next one comes out midnight tonight. The GFS was from 6 o'clock tonight. So anyways, the bottom line is we're looking for consistency between these two models. And as we get more into time into tomorrow and into Friday, the higher resolution models like the NAM 3 and the Wolf Wharf 2 kilometer and the other high resolution models, HRRR, the HER, they start to come into play. And when we get a good grasp of a 2-day period from those high resolution models, we can get a better idea on the precipitation. And then that way we can probably make a better determination on which day to go with. So just bear with it. This is one of the struggles we have with this forecast for this weekend, is getting the right time frame for all the kiters to be able to come out and actually ride and have a good time. We definitely don't want to send you out into a messy situation with lightning or anything of that nature, where you just end up in a pretty sloppy situation. But this one holds off on that initial low for Saturday night coming across Florida, and actually keeps that easterly convergence going pretty well through Sunday, where that low really rides more along the northern coast up here. And so that's kind of where we are with the Euro. And this is on the higher resolution model, so we'll have to wait and see what more solution that does provide for Sunday, because this gets into Sunday morning and it really just keeps that east-southeast convergence going through the day, a little bit of increase in showers. So a little bit of inconsistency there. Going back to the Tampa, this is their current forecast. It just came out tonight on Twitter, and they're basically calling for messy weekend overall. But we could see a couple of dry spells. We'll go over here. This is Datascope. It's got, just like I Kite Surf and Wind Alert, it's just got a few more parameters in it. I like to look at sea surface temperatures and other things as well. But looking at the model guidance for this, I'm just going to pick Tampa Bay Cut J. It's a central area for a spot forecast. Saturday, here we go with the east-southeast winds elevated. Some of the models keep them on the lower end, around 11-12 knots, and a couple of the models, the GFS and the Wave Watch 3, put this up in the higher for the day. So sometime out in the early to mid-afternoon is when the GFS and the Wave Watch 3 kind of come up. And then the NAM 12 is shown lower. So a little bit of disagreement or disparity on the speeds. As we go into Sunday, we start to see just parity on the GFS and the Wave Watch 3. It's as far out as these medium course or these medium resolutions go. So really, we're at Wednesday. We're still 5 days out. Let's give it a little bit more time and be patient with Melanie as she makes the decision on which way to go. I'm going to be working with her on that. Hopefully, we can make everything jive together. I think that's going to do it. So yeah, one more spat to Robert Griffin, El Presidente out there. Have a good time on your journeys is all I can say. And everyone take care. I'll be in touch with Melanie tomorrow. I might be able to have time to do another video tomorrow night. But until next time, everybody, take care, jammers. Good night.